We recently learned that Jeffrey Epstein had such close ties to Democratic delegate Stacey Plaskett, he texted her advice on how to conduct a congressional hearing.
We've now learned through a lot of different reporting, including Dropsite News' reporting, that Jeffrey Epstein was actually one of the most powerful men on earth. It was not a small little operation he was running. He was connected all the way up to Vladimir Putin. And in this story, you're going to see him texting with a Democratic congresswoman in the middle of a hearing, and then her, like a puppet, saying the exact question Epstein wanted asked. It is amazing.
The Democrats are in full-blown meltdown because their little scam and hoax against President Donald Trump with the Epstein files backfires on them big time.
In exchange, Epstein had donated generously to Democratic politicians from the U.S. Virgin Islands for years. In exchange, he got $300 million in tax incentives and was able to fly girls to his islands without customs batting an eye.
President Donald Trump highlighted this fact that he was friends with the Democrats. He never gave a dime in support to President Donald Trump or his campaign or his businesses. And President Donald Trump wasn't courting him for it. He wasn't trying to hunt him down or invite him to dinner or go to his mansions to seek his money. It was the Democrats. It was the Democrats. It was the Democrats. No, we didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein had this much power. We know that he was a pedophile. We knew he was a rapist. We knew he had a problem pimping little girls and pimping women. But we didn't know that this criminal had access to the congressional hearings, to congressional floors. He actually had power in the Senate and in Congress. You know, whenever you can text a lawmaker and have them parrot your words on the floor, you're a powerful person. And so the Democrats, this doesn't shock me and doesn't surprise me at all, because the Democrats love criminals. This is why they open up the border and people empty their prison around the world, send us their criminals and they're mentally ill. When the Democrats put judges on the benches, the judges let people go back out, violent people, until they commit a murder. And then all of a sudden now they finally lock them up. They are friends with criminals. They like to let people run the streets, loot, shoot, kill, steal, and say, oh, as long as they don't steal over $900 worth of items. And that's how businesses get hurt. Let's listen to this.
Yeah, so this is why I hate partisan crap. Who cares if he's doing it with a Democrat or Republican? So I'm on the left, I'm a Democrat, but what the hell was that? That was crazy. So he's apparently got these Congress people on speed dial, and he's watching. I read the whole story, of course, and he's watching the entire hearings, and he's texting people different directions. Did anybody know that Epstein was running our government? I mean, that was amazing. Did you see? She doesn't know who Rona is, so she misspells it in the text. She thinks it might be an acronym for something, and then she says, Ms. Rona. Rona's her first name. It's Rona Graff, the assistant for Trump. She literally has no idea what she's asking. She's only asking that question because Epstein directed her to ask that question. And interesting that Epstein at that point is directing people on how to damage Trump. So that doesn't serve any of my interest for me to tell you that, but that's what's.
Well, I like the fact that he's actually being honest. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that he's finally, people are waking up, ladies and gentlemen. People are waking up. The Democrats are no good for this country, and I'm telling you, I have a smile in my heart and a smile on my face, because I love to see people get their just due, especially when they've been wicked. Especially when they've been righteous, but when they've been wicked, like the Democrats, they are getting exposed left and right. Listen, we can vote these people out and end that party. It's a terrorist organization. It's a criminal organization. Is everybody on the right, up and up and perfect? No, I'm not saying that. But mostly it's the Democrats who use policy and power to push their criminality.
Happening in that hearing, right? You got to be fair and you got to call out what's actually happening. But what's interesting in all the emails is Epstein goes back and forth, back and forth. Should we hurt Trump or should we help Trump? Should we hurt or help? And depending on what Trump is saying. And he categorizes Trump as dangerous. My guess as to why he thinks Trump is dangerous is because usually when someone is bought or blackmailed, they stay bought or blackmailed, right?
Wow. 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 I love it. I love that this man is bringing some truth finally. Yes, President Donald Trump is not paid or bought for it. He's not paid or bought. And this is why Trump is dangerous to the left. This is why Trump is dangerous to the globalists and all of that, because he's not accepting their money so that they can't control him. I don't understand why people are not getting this. This man is waking up to it, and I'm glad he's waking up to it. This is great, folks. And this isn't good for the Democrats. This right here, this conversation that this man is having on his show that's reaching millions of people is not good for the Democrat Party.
Whereas Trump is so volatile, they're not sure how to handle him, right? Should we hurt him or should we use him as an asset? I'm saying it openly, guys. They're all over Ehud Barak's emails from Job Site News is how Epstein is conspiring with Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, with literal Israeli spies. He's getting, and by the way, there's Democrats all over the emails.
Woo!
There's Dana Bash's ex-husband, Jeremy Bash, who works in the Democratic administration. He's organizing tours for the former prime minister of Israel.
Don't forget Hakeem Jeffries, Hakeem the Dream, the Dollar Store Obama, the Dollar Tree Obama, Dollar General.
But only because Epstein asked him to. What? Why is Epstein being feted by both the very top of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? So now to Larry Summers. Look, guys, there's two giant problems with Larry Summers here. Number one, the emails are devastating. He's asking Epstein for how he can, quote unquote, get horizontal with a woman that he's mentoring.
He was asking Epstein for dating advice. Epstein is a convicted sexual criminal and a sexual predator. And Stacey Plaskett, Hakeem Jeffries, and Larry Summers are hugging and courting this guy like he was Jesus Christ.
Work. Jesus Christ, man. And then he talks about using his position of power and privilege. It's like out of a Me Too manual, right? And he's like, but she can't get that access to that stuff that I have and the things that she needs for her professional career unless she gives me the sex. Like, oh my God.
Wow.
Right? And he's talking to Epstein about this.
He's
and Epstein's like,
Epstein.
Boy.
He's getting this advice from Epstein. I mean, you can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up. This flipped on the Democrats in a crazy, crazy, horrible way. Seemed like, you know what, they are the Wile E. Coyote of politics. And I'm so glad that America is waking up to this because, you know, I carry this burden on my shoulder and in my chest that I don't like to see people get power and mistreat people and lie and connive and use the media and use all of their tricks of bags to hurt and harm and deceive people. I can't stand it. It bothers me.
Don't let her get away with anything without giving you sex. And both for Plaskett and for Larry Summers. Larry Summers was a Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton, and then he was the top economic advisor to Obama.
Did I tell you that things went bad for the Democrats? Did I tell you that things went backwards for them, that this thing backfired on them in a horrible, terrible way? I mean, you can't write this any better. You know, you can't write this any better except for people go to prison and that is exposed and that they're carried out in chains and with their arms behind their back and being put in the back of a police car and going off to prison for their deeds. But this is wonderful to watch. Here is Stacey Plaskett on CNN trying to talk her way out of it. She didn't get censured because of the Republicans were being weak. She should have been censured. She should have lost her security clearance and all of that kind of stuff. She should have been kicked off of every committee. But we have weak Republicans, and we also have some dirty Republicans.
First, I want to thank the Democratic caucus, not only for voting with me, but for speaking on my behalf during the general debate, as well as those members in the Republican Party who voted with the Democrats and those who tacitly voted with us by either voting present or not voting at all during the censure. And I'm hopeful that we can now get back to the work that we do in Congress rather than the political theater that has been happening.
Well, the political theater that you all attempted to bring to President Donald Trump was opening up those emails, finding his name mentioned in those emails, and you tried to tie him somehow to Epstein, but it backfired. You want to get back to running the country now. You want to get back to politics as usual, which you guys never talk about doing anything for the country. You want to get back to this to get the heat off of you and your dirty deeds. This is shameful.
The files have been released, which I have been in favor of all along. And let's let the victims get their justice and let us get to the work of Congress. We've been on over a 70-day paid time off. Democrats have been doing town halls, coming back to Congress. Republicans have been nowhere in sight. And the people of this country are in need of our support and of the work.
The shutdown was because of the Democrats. And it was break time, and so there was nothing to do. In the House, Mike Johnson and the Republicans had already signed, and it was over in the House and in the Senate, and the Democrats over there refused to sign it. They wanted the people to suffer, so there was nothing to do. Why would they come back to the House? It doesn't make any sense.
That needs to be done.
We know that Epstein had property in the Virgin Islands, right?
Yes.
What was your relationship with Epstein?
So Jeffrey Epstein was a constituent. He was a resident of the Virgin Islands, lived there, I guess, more than half of the year because he was registered there. I had received donations from him. After the last investigation came out, which was after this texting, I gave any donations that I had previously received from him to women's organizations and did not have any contact with him. But like many constituents, individuals get your phone.
I bet she can't provide proof of that she gave it to women organizations.
Number, they text you about issues, they speak with you. I have spoken with him about issues that are relevant, things that are going on in the Virgin Islands and elsewhere around the country.
Right, but on that day that we're talking about, you initiated the text exchange at 7:55 in the morning. So why were you even texting with Epstein at the time? He was a known sex offender then.
Sure. I explained to people, I've been a prosecutor for many years. And there are a lot of people who have information that are not your friends, that you use to get information to get at the truth. This was 7 years ago, and people need to understand this was a huge hearing that was taking place with Michael Cohen finally coming forward to talk.
It was huge because they was trying to get Trump. This is a huge hearing. So basically, I'll use a known criminal who abuses women and children. All right. And I'll let him have my phone number and text me, and I'll get donations from him and go to his mansion and all of that kind of stuff. But Donald Trump is the worst criminal in the world. And I got to use other criminals that I trust over Trump to try to help me get Trump. You see what they're doing? This is what the Democrats do. Why is Trump the ultimate enemy? Because Trump is keeping them from power. When they get in power, life gets worse for everybody. When the wicked reign, the people mourn. But when the righteous reign, the people rejoice. And right now, America is reigning because a man who has righteousness in his heart, who wants to do right by the people, is in the office and not them.
Talk about monies that he had with the hush money, potential hush money that had been paid to Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet about the allegations against Trump. We were entering a hearing. Lots of people were texting me. Lots of people were giving me information. And I find.
Oh, yeah. By the way, whatever came of that Stormy Daniels thing? Stormy Daniels' attorney got sent to prison for he was a criminal. Stormy Daniels ended up having to pay President Donald Trump close to $400,000. And President Donald Trump wasn't found guilty in it. So all of that was a waste of time. All of that talking with Jeffrey Epstein, texting with him, and giving him a voice on the people's floor, in the people's house, a criminal, a person who abused little girls. You gave him power on our floor in Congress to get Trump, who ended up getting paid, and her attorney went to prison.
I find it really
Shame.
interesting and almost rich that the Washington Post took 30 seconds, one set of question line that I did, and say that Epstein was directing me as to what to question Michael Cohen.
He was.
I have 5 minutes of questioning. I had a lot of questions, 20 years of experience that I had at the time, along with other information I was getting from many sources about issues that should have been raised. And I also want to say that the issues that I raised in that hearing related to individuals who were closest to the president and who could know about money has never been looked into.
Right, and we have the full transcript right here. But, you know, and no doubt you have an impressive resume, right? You're a former federal prosecutor, you were an impeachment manager. But yes or no, if Epstein had not brought up Rona to you in that text, would you have asked Michael Cohen about her independently?
Probably not. I asked about 3 other individuals as well. Everyone knew, other people knew that this woman had been the president's assistant. I talked about other individuals who were also close to him that other people had given me information about, that I'd found other information about. And there were other issues that I talked with him about as well, Michael Cohen, that I brought up during that time.
Right.
So as a prosecutor, as an investigator, you glean information, get information where you can. Some of it is relevant, some of it is not, and you put it all together and you ask the questions.
And I understand you're saying, look, he was a constituent, right? And whether or not they're good or bad, you're just trying to get information to get to the truth. But at this time, this was happening after he had already pleaded guilty to state prostitution charges. And then there was that Miami Herald article that came out in 2018.
Sure.
Detailing how widespread the sexual abuse was, interviewing 80 women who said that he sexually abused her. So, abused them, I should say. So I'm wondering, as you look back, do you think that it was an error in judgment to be communicating with him at all? Do you have any regrets?
Well, listen, I think Jeffrey Epstein is a reprehensible person. Absolutely disgusting. I lived in a house during childhood with a mother who had been sexually abused by her dad. And I know the effect that that had on her, as well as us as her family. And so I understand what the victims are going through, and I want them to get their their justice, their peace out of this. I believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information, and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have. And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward.
She's just looking forward now. Since it backfired and you didn't get Trump, and the files are coming out, and the emails are coming out, and the text messages are coming out, and all of them have to do with Democrats giving Jeffrey Epstein power and seeking his money. Where's Trump in there? No Trump, right? No Trump. You don't want, wait, you want out now? Wait a minute. You want to move forward now? No, we can't let you do that. We can't let you do that.
And I think that that's what we as American people should do, is move forward. If individuals are not involved in illegal activity, extending his criminal enterprise or his financial enterprise or all of those things, I think that we need to look at what people are doing moving forward.
You extended his criminal enterprise. You gave him power on the congressional floor. You gave him congressional power. Yeah, you extended his enterprise. You gave him congressional power. And also you was colluding with Jeffrey Epstein to try to get Trump. So that was a crime. I believe the FBI should investigate you, and the DOJ should investigate you for collusion.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender, and it had been detailed all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can. I've interviewed confidential informants. I've interviewed narcotics, drug traffickers. Yeah,
interviewing and giving somebody a voice on the congressional floor during a committee hearing is totally different from going and interviewing people in jail, or interviewing somebody has to do with some kind of case.
And others, and that doesn't mean that I'm their friend. That doesn't mean that they are friendly with me. It means that they have information that I need. And
Well, that's it. I'm not going to play anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That lets us know. That's it. I think you guys get the gist of it. You get the idea that this horribly backfired on the Democrats, which you could see it coming. And President Donald Trump is a fighter. That's one great thing about that man, about President Donald Trump. He's a fighter. He's not going to lay down and let these people, run all over him and chase him off. And when you stand up for yourself, you'll see some amazing things. And America's getting a chance to see how dirty the Democrats play ball. I'm Pastor Jerone Davison. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let everybody know we're here, and hope to see you on the next one. Thank you, and God bless.